Today we reveal the secrets of Rocket League.
Check out some big changes coming to Destiny 2.
Review the latest from the creator of Gears of War.
And we'll match minds with the Riddler in Batman: The Enemy Within.
This is the IGN Show.
Is the IGN Show.
Welcome to the IGN Show. I'm Alana Pierce. This is William Haynes. That's James Duggan. And now that we have our boring introductions out of the way, let's talk about something way more exciting: video games.
Coming up on today's show, we're gonna give you a breakdown of all the changes you'll see between Destiny 1 and the beta for 2. Plus, there's just a few days left in Overwatch's Summer Games, and we'll tell you what skins and highlight intros you need to score before it ends.
Then we'll embrace some retro gaming action and controller smashing when we review the second Mega Man Legacy Collection, and later, we'll try our hand at Lawbreakers, a new multiplayer shooter with a ton of fast-paced action.
But first, it's time to talk about one of the most played games around, Rocket League.
Ooh. On paper, this game seems like it wouldn't work. You play soccer with cars that have rockets strapped to the back. You know what, forget I said that. It's actually really good on paper.
Yeah, I think so. If you think you know everything about the game, think again. We sat down with Psyonix Jeremy Dunham to find out the secrets of this worldwide hit.
Do you guys know the first game was called Supersonic
Acrobatic Rocket-Powered Battle Cars?
One thing a lot of people who are new to Rocket League don't realize is it's actually a sequel to a game that we made way back in 2008 called Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket-Powered Battle Cars, which explains why we shortened the name, number one. But two, it was the game that really informed us of how to make Rocket League. We had a very small but dedicated community, and we took years and years of feedback to use that as the basis to create what Rocket League is today. One of my favorites is that we've actually put the classic Konami code in the game. And if you do that, it unlocks a special screen and a special item. So one of the things that we've done is we've put a lot of sort of unlockable, cool extras in the game for people who are looking for them. So if you continue to play the game over time, you can unlock stuff from Fallout 3, The Witcher. There's even stuff in there from Rick and Morty, if you watch that show, which is one of our favorite shows at the studio. So when we had the opportunity to do that, it was great. Part of what's made Rocket League really cool is that we experiment with game modes outside of just cars with soccer. And over the years, we've put in a hoops mode, which is essentially basketball. We have snow day, which is hockey. We've even had drop shot, which is essentially a combination of golf and volleyball. Now, one thing a lot of people don't know about Rocket League is it actually started as a free-to-play game. Ironically, though, now that Rocket League has become so big and we're now coming out in China sometime in the near future, we're actually retooling the game specifically for that market to be free-to-play because that's what culturally is more accepted and more popular there. So it's sort of like we've come full circle. This may be a fact that hardcore fans of Rocket League know, but when we launched the game, it was so incredibly popular that we actually have someone dedicated to refreshing the servers, kind of like hitting the button in that old TV show Lost. Because if we didn't do it, it would collapse and they'd stop working. So the wife of our CEO, Dave, Jessica, she was actually in a room waiting for her cue every couple of hours to press this button to refresh the servers so that when it happened, it wouldn't go down. And that one action really kept Rocket League going in those early weeks. One of the things we're most excited about right now is the fact that we're coming to Nintendo Switch this holiday season. So I know that they've been waiting for a long time, and I hope that you will enjoy it too. Look for it in just a few months.
Destiny 2 is a hard reset for Bungie's incredibly popular shared world shooter. You won't be able to transfer the weapons and gear in your stash to the sequel, so new players and veterans are all starting from scratch. The game's also received a graphical boost. If you compare Destiny 1 to the beta for 2, you might forget about the black spindle you had to leave behind.
In this video, we take a look at how Destiny's original social space, the Tower, has been affected by the invasion of the Cabal, as well as highlighting the differences in graphical fidelity between Destiny and its upcoming sequel. It also highlights a few iconic areas that are now left in ruins during the invasion. The comparison was edited with the beta version of Destiny 2 on PS4 Pro. When the full game is released, we'll have a full graphics comparison to see how it stacks up against the original. So be sure to head to IGN.com to check it out.
Destiny 2 is looking pretty good, but like you said just a few minutes ago, everyone has to start over. What do you think justifies a sequel and completely rebooting progress in an online game?
Well, it's a really interesting question because shared world shooters, Destiny, are iterative of MMOs. The idea of resetting your progress in something like WoW for a WoW 2 after playing for 10 years is nuts. It's crazy. It wouldn't happen. But I do think there is a design reason to do it, but I think that they want to get everybody back on board instead of like dropping the ball like they did with the first Destiny.
Yeah, I started playing Destiny Vanilla and then kind of dropped off, whereas they planned to have everyone play for like 10 years, and that obviously didn't happen. So a hard reboot here makes sense. Hopefully they can keep the audience that is there.
Yes, no Destiny 3, please.
Hopefully. After the break, we'll talk mobile games and tell you what's worth taking up precious hard drive space on your phone.
Plus, we've got reviews of all the latest games, including Lawbreakers, the first chapter of Batman: The Enemy Within, and the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2.
And all the new Overwatch skins and emotes you need to grab before the summer games ends. The IGN Show will be back in just a minute.
Welcome back to the IGN Show. The Nintendo Switch might be portable, but no matter where you are, you're always going to have your phone to play games. New mobile titles are launched all day, every day, and people ask me what they should play. So I grabbed the expert, IGN editorial manager Justin Davis, to talk about what's worth checking out. So Justin, what are the titles we're looking at today?
So 3 mobile games that are very addictive, very hot right now are Eternal Card Game, Flippy Knife, and Layton's Mystery Journey.
All right, let's talk about Eternal. What's up with that game?
So Eternal is a mashup of Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. It really takes the best parts of those 2 games and smashes them together into a very satisfying, very fun card game experience.
Now what about one of my favorites, seems interesting and way different, Flippy Knife.
So Flippy Knife is a totally silly mobile game that's all you're trying to do. It's totally non-violent. You're taking a knife and you're flipping it through the air, and it flips a bunch of times and then sort of thunks back down into the wood. And it's a combo game, a high score game, so you're trying to do that as many times as you can without messing up.
And to become the best at Flippy Knife.
No.
All right, what about Layton's Mystery Journey? It's a cute anime game. There's a talking dog. It's an ongoing story. Tell me about it.
There is a talking dog. So the Layton's franchise has been going on for a long time. They've been DS games and 3DS games, and this is actually the first one to come to mobile. So
cool.
This game isn't cheap. It's sort of sold at a premium price, which I think people aren't used to on phones, but it's totally worth it.
It's a full game, and there's a lot of story in there, and cute puzzles. If you're a puzzle player, you're gonna enjoy it. All right, thanks, Justin, and let's send it over to James now for the return of a video game icon.
The first Mega Man Legacy Collection was a great deal. You got 6 games, Mega Man 1 through 6, faithfully reproduced with a bunch of extra content and a save feature to make the difficulty less punishing. Capcom's back with another collection, this time focusing on games 7 through 10. Does it stack up to the original? IGN managing editor Sam Claiborne has a review.
Mega Man 1 through 6 found a winning formula and stuck with it, and helped to define the NES's greatest years. Mega Man's next 4 games, those in the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, may span several console generations, but they don't stray far from that original formula.
I don't know where this energy came from, but I cannot let it fall into Dr. Wowie's hands.
The selection is slim. This package only includes 4 Mega Man games, the DLC for Mega Man 9 and 10, and a handful of brand new remix stages and boss rush challenges. That's welcome for old school fans like me, but Legacy Collection 2 lacks some now expected features to make it more accessible for modern audiences. Mega Man 7 is the weakest game of the bunch. The SNES sequel is slow and clunky. Jumps and dodging feel all wrong, and waiting for the charge shot slows things down even more. PlayStation's Mega Man 8 has aged surprisingly well. It picks up the pace a bit with an awesome auto-fire attachment, and the 32-bit art is straight out of Capcom's golden era of fighting games. The laughably bad voice acting and cutscenes are more entertaining than they are annoying.
Hey, Zach! Why must I fight you? We are not enemies!
Mega Man 9 is a 2008 retro D-make that apes the graphics and structure of Mega Man's 1 through 6. And it's the hardest Mega Man ever made. Mega Man 10 is a direct sequel to 9, with the same classic look and feel. It adds an easy mode to help you learn the levels, and the bosses are the looniest bunch yet. Sheep Man fortifies his domain with evil mouse pointers, and Pump Man pumps his own pump. His head, thankfully. The tunes in both 9 and 10 are also top-notch.
Get ready!
Especially next to the first Mega Man Legacy Collection's 6 games and the nicer save system, the Mega Man Legacy Collection's 2 package of 4 included games is ultimately a step backward. While the games are mostly good, None of them top Mega Man 2 or 3. And for the record, I think 3 is the best. 8, 9, and 10 are all worth revisiting for a dose of retro platforming challenge, but know what you're up against going in.
Coming up, we'll run down all the Overwatch unlocks you need to grab before the new event is over. Plus, we've got reviews of Lawbreakers in the first chapter of Telltale's new Batman game.
Welcome back to the IGN Show. With games like Gears of War and Unreal Tournament under his belt, designer Cliff Bleszinski knows a thing or two about online multiplayer. His latest is called Lawbreakers. It's full of over-the-top action. But does it still have the same old magic? IGN Associate Editor Tom Marks has our review.
There's an art to riding that terrifying line between falling and flying in Lawbreakers. The 5v5 hero shooter's gun duels play out like thrilling high-wire dances. You try to stay afloat and in control just long enough to win each fight. Even if the maps and game modes aren't always as exciting as the fights themselves, dropkicking an enemy with a pair of laser boots and then using that momentum to soar halfway across the arena is extremely fun.
Your team is charging the battery.
A lot of the excitement in Lawbreakers comes directly from the movement itself, rather than just kill streaks or point captures. What sets Lawbreakers' spectacular firefights apart more than anything are its low-gravity areas. Swimming through the air using jetpacks, grappling hooks, or even my own gun as a paddle is fun and challenging. Lawbreakers launched with 8 decent maps, but 6 of them feel so similar that they sometimes blur together. In contrast, the Vertigo map breaks that mold with tons of open air to swing or fly around. The 5 game modes are unique variations of classic modes like Capture the Flag or King of the Hill. In its best game modes, Lawbreakers manages to make simply moving around feel amazing. Learning how to fall with style in the most deadly way possible is a thrilling challenge. Getting stuck playing a weak mode and map thanks to the grab bag matchmaking can be frustrating, but it doesn't ruin an otherwise fast and tense shooter that lets you gleefully propel yourself through low gravity with rocket boots and miniguns.
Master X Master is the new MOBA from NCSoft, and they've added one major gameplay twist that separates it from games like Dota 2 and Heroes of the Storm. You pick 2 characters to control and can switch between them on the fly. With the right combo, you can be unstoppable. Here's some of the teams we think play great together.
Master X Master offers dozens of characters to choose from and hundreds of possible combinations for creating powerful and effective master tag teams. The game is constantly evolving and combos fall in and out of favour quickly, but here are our current picks for 5 great character combos in Master X Master.
Looking for a target.
Lua and Coom offer a good mix of assault and damage absorption. Coom's best placed in the thick of the action, equipped with his crashing defense and unstable shell ability. Still, Coom's lack of crowd control competence makes him best paired with Lua, who boasts an arsenal of explosives and an inexhaustible quickfire SMG. This partnership of Lua and Coom offers a great mix of explosive ordnance and sheer defensive staying power that can outgun and outlast the opposition. This combination of the support-based Demonos and skirmisher Tulum offers up some great versatility with a devastating tag team ability. Tulum is less robust than Coom and so can take less damage, but he makes up for that by packing a far more powerful offensive punch. Meanwhile, Demonos' mastery of the elements can spread chain lightning through friend and foe alike. If you're surrounded by enemies or they've switched masters to escape, go big with Tulum's ultimate ability, Soulquake, to decimate the opposition.
Somebody must be talking about me.
Like Lua, Taejin is a good base option to pair with a number of other masters. Equipping Arami with both Binding and Gravel Fist helps maximize her crowd control abilities, as one holds enemies in place while the other launches them into the air. This leaves them open to the area of effect damage provided by Taejin's proximity grenade, but it's the devastating missile bombardment of his Dredgian Strike ultimate power that's the real payoff here.
I'll just wait here.
Another highly versatile team combines powerful mid-ranged assault Vonarch with agile support Juggernaut Maya. Vonarch's slam shot ability provides a sizable kick to knock enemies backwards, but it's Vonarch's Hail of Bullets ultimate that is his real party piece. Combined with her passive healing abilities, Maya is the yin to Vonarch's yang, and ensures that you have plenty of opportunities to become a highly versatile team member, and hands down, most valuable player.
Run, while your legs can still carry you.
The combination of Skirmisher Jin Soyun and Assassin Suzuka pairs two relatively low health melee masters who make up for their general squishiness with high control, high damage combos. In the thick of battle, Suzuka's low survivability can feel like a burden, but her devastating weapon damage means that, with a little practice, this potent partnership can rack up kills and provide the killing edge in both PvP and PvE.
You like us and we like you, so remember to DVR the IGN Show. If you miss an episode, you won't find out what we think of all the latest games.
For instance, coming up in just a minute, we'll take on the first chapter of Batman: The Enemy Within and give you our review.
But first, take a break from Lucio Ball because you've got some unlocking to do.
That's right, Overwatch's summer games are almost over and there are some awesome costumes and other surprises still available. Here are the best of the best.
In addition to old skins returning from last year's event, a number of new unlockable items were added to loot boxes as well. Last year's skins remain themed around the Olympic Games, while most of this year's items are themed around summer activities. However, they will only be available during the event. Once the Summer Games end on August 28th, all of the skins will go back into the vault and become unavailable until next year. So be sure to log on and start earning those sweet rewards before they're gone. Welcome back. Last year, Telltale released their story-driven take on The Dark Knight with a game that was less punchy and more story. Well, now they're back with a whole new season, and this time Batman's facing off against a classic villain. IGN executive editor Ryan McCaffrey has our review of Batman: The Enemy Within, Chapter 1.
If the first season of Telltale's excellent Batman adventure series taught us anything, it's that in this universe, not even iconic characters are safe from terrible, permanent things. That norm-ignoring, convention-flipping dynamic is precisely what I liked about Telltale's M-rated Batman, and if the Enigma is any indication, Season 2 is going to be another violent, memorable ride.
Our arrangement is over. Death, Maury. I am death.
Something's happening, and it doesn't look like a deal.
The Enigma picks up a year after the events of Season 1. In my personal continuity, that means Bruce Wayne is missing a chunk of his ear, and Alfred suffers from what is effectively PTSD following the climactic encounter with Lady Arkham. The Enigma reintroduces the Riddler, who's been mysteriously absent from Gotham City for many years. As in most Batman tellings, he's got a grandiose ego to go with his big brain. Here, though, he's also ruthlessly violent. It's an interesting take, but despite being the central villain in this episode, he's the least compelling character. His initial encounter with Batman doesn't feel particularly well developed. It's strange that a mind as inquisitive as the Riddler's wouldn't take a much deeper psychological interest in the Batman, but we never see that angle explored. On the gameplay side, you don't get to solve as many of his puzzles as I'd have liked. Instead, the Enigma's dramatic tension comes from the supporting cast: John Doe, Amanda Waller, Alfred Pennyworth, and Lucius Fox. In John, seeds sown in Season 1 begin to blossom. We all know that the man who will be Joker will snap sometime soon, it's just a matter of when and how. Meanwhile, Alfred's continued suffering in the wake of Season 1's events led me to make emotional decisions. Waller and her agency, on the other hand, are both friend and foe, and Telltale's God text at the top of the screen foreshadows that the decisions you make with her will be important. As for Lucius, he is really the star of this episode. We're introduced to his whiz-kid daughter, and she's clearly headed for a bigger role as the season rolls on. But Lucius drives many of the key decisions and domino effect consequences of the Enigma, and I found myself eager to see what the fallout will be in the coming 4 episodes, particularly regarding the effective cliffhanger we're left with just before the credits roll.
On the next episode of the IGN Show, I'm headed to the Pokemon World Championships and will feel the full wrath of a level 99 Mega Charizard.
That sounds terrifying, but I'm super jealous. We will compete to find out who can make it to Hyrule Castle the fastest in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
And I'll show Alana and Miranda what it takes to be the best and score a delicious chicken dinner in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
That does it for this episode. We are done.
And remember, keep it love to IGN and check us out on Instagram while you're at it.
Thanks for watching. Bye.